What's up everyone, it's TheRazoredEdge and welcome to a Gears 5 discussion slash feedback video. This video was inspired by a recent community discussion that was hosted by my friend B-Chaps, which there will be a link to in the description below if you guys want to check that out. These kinds of videos are hard to make in my opinion because you can't really talk about some aspects of a game without talking about another, so I'll try my best to keep on topic, which is specifically about the game mode variety or lack thereof in Gears 5. This isn't even a video just for Gears 5, it's about keeping potential future Gears of War games in mind as well. I fully expected Gears 5 to change things up quite a bit after Gears of War 4 was said to be, quote-unquote, the walk before they could run with the franchise. Gears of War 4 played it safe as it was the Coalition's first time making a Gears game from scratch, so it made sense to keep things basic with the usual TDM, King of the Hill, Execution, etc. as game modes. We also saw some new modes with Escalation and Dodgeball, as well as an evolution on Horde mode. I think a big problem for Gears 5 in particular is that the vision for all of these modes, the Versus ones specifically, are being looked through the lens of how can they be competitive and how can they be balanced, rather than something that is unusual or strays away from the core Gears of War gameplay. And what I mean by core Gears of War gameplay is roadie running, Nasher fights, wall bouncing, strafing, all that kind of stuff. Just the usual rigmarole when it comes to Gears of War. Gears of War 2 was the first to introduce Horde mode, which was to give players who weren't interested in a competitive environment a place to still enjoy Gears of War after maybe playing the campaign. It also introduced Guardian and Meat Flag, which were evolved variants of modes from Gears of War 1, and last but certainly not least, Wingman. Gears of War 3 introduced Beast Mode, which gave players the opportunity to play as unique monsters in the Gears of War universe. It also gave us Capture the Leader, which was a spin on Guardian that didn't end up working out, and Guardian was reintroduced later on. Gears of War Judgment introduced Overrun, which was a clever fusion of competitive PvP with PvE and Horde elements, so it was almost a best of both worlds for each kind of player. It also gave us free-for-all for the first time ever in the franchise, which was a huge deal as it was always requested due to the lone wolf nature of Gears of War players. One other mode I always like to mention that I think was underrated was Breakthrough, which was technically the first capture the flag type mode in Gears of War. Gears of War 4, like I mentioned earlier, was the Coalition's first Gears game, so it made sense that there wasn't a revolutionary new mode for that title as they were still learning as the new stewards of the franchise. But with Gears 5, I did have my hopes up for something new and to revisit some experiences from the past. Let's take a look at the modes on offer currently in Operation 5, and we'll move on from there. Alrighty, so here we are in the multiplayer menu for Gears 5. I'm going to run through each of these tabs and analyze each game mode kind of as I can to kind of point out that I think this game does itself a disservice in a way because a lot of the game modes are extremely similar when you look at it. And then there's also like rules and stipulations about being able to play certain modes as well. You know, there's playlist categories and things like that. But we'll hit those points when we get there. So first, you know, we have Versus, Horde, and Escape. You know, Escape is kind of like the big new mode for Gears 5, and as much as I enjoy Escape, the experience you get in Escape, for the most part, is kind of like it's kind of like an aggressive Horde mode, right? It's like you're pushing through each room. When you get to the end, you get to another room and you're facing waves and waves of enemies. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a Horde mode game type more than anything when it boils down to it, really. As much as I enjoy it, it is quite a similar experience to Horde mode. Now, Horde mode, you know, people have their mixed feelings about the direction it went in Gears 5, but you know, since the Coalition brought in the, you know, classic Horde mode variant, which hopefully gets put into private matches as an option in the future. So, you know, if we want to, we can play classic Horde like in Gears of War 2. That would be amazing. I know there's a lot of options there for everybody, really, when it comes to horde mode. It's hard to really kind of argue against it. I personally really enjoy it just because of I like the leveling system, I like the class system, I like the cards. I like having something to go for. Thing about classic horde in like Gears of War 2 back in the day is that you're just playing for the achievements, really, and just kind of the satisfaction of beating it. But that's a whole nother thing in itself, isn't it? Really, like, that matters as well. So I get why people like the classic variant, but it does exist in this game, so it's hard to really argue against it when it does exist. Just hopefully it will become a permanent fixture in the future. But the main thing we're here to talk about is like versus multiplayer. And then we'll jump into like PvE modes in the discussion later on as well. But the first thing I want to do is jump in and look at our options here. So up top, we always have the special event. This rotates between, returning playlists like Gridiron here, or, Execution is no longer a permanent fixture in this game. We don't have Warzone anymore. Arms Race is gone. Dodgeball is gone. A lot of modes have been phased out just because they haven't been very popular, especially the single life modes, which is so unfortunate because I'm such a Gears head, like a Gears 1, 2007. I started playing in 2007, so like it's kind of part of my soul hurts seeing that like single life game modes don't catch on so well. Gridiron has been updated here, and I hope it catches on. The only thing going against it being here in the special event is that it's technically a social playlist, so people can leave as they please. So if you like do well against another team, they can just leave with no repercussions, and it's not likely that they'll stay if they're getting whooped. You know what I mean? So Gridiron coming back, it really does need to be in rank to get the proper experience. So hopefully they do that, especially with the brand new changes where the flag spawns in late, and what else? You can contest the capture by standing in the end zone if an enemy player is standing there. So that's good. It just definitely does need to be in ranked. So that kind of leads into the conversation of, we have quick play and ranked in Gears 5, and that's like, it's like a whole other dilemma, really, isn't it? Like, a big problem that the Gears franchise has been, too many options when it comes to playlists. Like, it spreads the community thin over different game modes rather than kind of keeping things niche and filtering people into the same game modes. You know what I mean? So like quick play and ranked both have a team deathmatch and a King of the Hill. And if you go in here, I know people will make the point that if if they want to, they can go into quick play and chill in King of the Hill and team deathmatch. But in my opinion, if these modes were only ranked, like if this quick play section just didn't exist and the only option to play was just ranked, I just think that would be overall healthier. The new players would, remain in their proper rank because they would lose when they hit a certain point. The bronze and silver and gold players will all be playing with each other. And, in the beginning of an operation or a season, they might get killed by some experienced players a little bit. But at the end of the day, people need to learn a little bit. It just makes more sense to condense things if that makes any kind of sense. But in here we have Guardian, which also falls victim to it being a social playlist. This really should be in ranked. Like the point I'm trying to make is that this should only is that really at the end of the day, what I would want for the perfect version of Gears 5 is that if there was only just ranked. Like, just have one version of every playlist, and then, like, these three would be in ranked, and then co-op versus AI and arcade would be their own thing. Like, arcades for people who just really need the help with the extra abilities and stuff, and co-op versus AI is for, PvE players who want to go in and farm challenges, or if you want to warm up. Like, co-op versus AI could go under boot camp or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, this is basically what I meant by I can't really talk about one aspect of the game without talking about another. So, ideally, all of these modes would be, ranked along with Gridiron, and then these two would be up on offer, but it wouldn't be under a quote-unquote quick play. They'd just be on themselves, like out here somewhere, if you know what I mean. And then maybe have custom online and custom LAN as smaller options somewhere or something like that. But as for ranked, this is kind of what we're really here to talk about, because this is like the main attraction when it comes to versus multiplayer. So I was talking earlier about like, rules and stipulations when it comes to playing certain game modes. So we'll talk about the biggest offender first, which is Team Deathmatch. So this is currently restricted to two-man party searches. So I can only search with one other friend. If I want to invite a friend to come play this game, if I want to invite 4 friends, I'm going backwards here. If I want to invite 3 other friends to come play Gears of War with me, we have to play King of the Hill ranked. That's the only option we have. I know we have social, but like I mentioned earlier, if you're doing well in social with a 4-man team, the other team's not going to stay there. They're just gonna leave, rage quit, and you're not gonna get a proper experience. And people do leave ranked, but at least if they leave, they're getting punished, but with the quit penalty, and they have to work off the debt in quick play, or in my world, quick play wouldn't be there, so I guess they'd have to go into co-op versus AI, right? They have to work off their sins, as it were. But yeah. So if you want to play with 4 buddies together, the only option is to play ranked King of the Hill. And then Team Deathmatch is restricted to 2 players per search, which doesn't make any sense, especially since currently in its current form, Team Deathmatch is also in social. So why does it make sense to stack 4 players in a social match, which is supposed to be the relaxed version of and casual version of Team Deathmatch, when in the ranked version you're restricted to only 2 players? Should it not be the other way around technically? Because then that's encouraging 4-man sweaty teams to go into social and stomp on new players. Do you know what I mean? And then you have your 2v2 Nashers. There's no discrepancy with that. That goes down well. And then free-for-all is honestly the best thing to happen to this game. It just suits the lone wolf play style. Like I mentioned earlier from Gears Judgment, people were really requesting free-for-all in Gears of War 3, and we got it in Gears of War Judgment, and it's been so nice to have it in Gears 5. But the main thing I'm trying to get at here, I had to make all those points first, is that when you look at all of these modes, like, they're all very similar. It's all, you see your opponent in front of you, you take them out, and then eventually you win, right? Like, it's like you go for kills and you win. King of the Hill, you capture hills in between. There's fights. Like, King of the Hill has a lot more of a nuance to it, but I guess Team Deathmatch, free-for-all, and 2v2 Nashers in particular are all quite similar. I know King of the Hill is it is the difference between the 3 of them, but when you're looking at it, all 4 of them are quite similar. They're these 2 are 4v4 modes. Whoever does better wins, that kind of thing. Like I said earlier, I did have my hopes up for something new and to revisit some experiences from the past that, weren't available or made in Gears of War 4. And they weren't there at launch for Gears 5. And I was hoping that with the new operation system that we will get some of these new and, revisited experiences. Luckily, we did get free-for-all, like I said, and, Gridiron was a new experience. Even though it didn't really work out in the end. I know we have it back now, so hopefully, fingers crossed, people enjoy it, because I would like the elimination mode back in the game. But again, like I said, it kind of is similar. It's 4v4, each player kills each other, the round's over kind of thing. What I'm really looking for is just some objectives that aren't based on kills or capturing a hill. We have had escalation and dodgeball and stuff like that. And the objective is always kill or capture. It's always something like that. Like, what I'm really hoping to see, and I have a list of game modes written down here, and I'm sure you guys can probably think of other ones, but these are ones that I've like fantasized about and thought about and have made sense because they've been kind of introduced in a way as ideas in the games themselves, and you'll kind of see what I mean when I say them. So the first one I have written down here is payload slash escort mission. This is actually mentioned on the community stream that I mentioned earlier in the video, but it's something that I've had written down for such a long time. Payload is like such a classic game mode from, it's very famous from Team Fortress 2 and especially Overwatch. Basically, traditionally there's like a cart of some kind and you push it through the map and you push it from one side to the other. So like imagine Gridiron, imagine like an APC tank, and you walk behind it from one end zone to the other. Like that would basically what like a payload mission would be in Gears 5. But the idea that I had was that why not incorporate Jackbot? One of the biggest marketing things for Gears 5 was Jackbot, like the fact that he was there to, you know, basically be the introduction character for people who just couldn't get the hang of shooter and third-person cover controls, and they could kind of fly around and help, and then the more they got used to the atmosphere, they might get brave enough to then try playing as like a normal character. So why not make Jack like the escortable objective? Do you know what I mean? Like make him, like obviously they need to tweak him and make him slower maybe and give him some health and make like a shield around him or something like that. But there's a mission in the Gears 5 campaign where he's carrying an explosive that's used to blow up the ice lake near New Hope facility. I'm sure you guys, for those of you who played the campaign, you'll remember it. Like just, I try to refrain from saying this, but like just take that concept, have Jack be playable. You know, it would technically be 5v5 because Jack would be the 5th player, but it also technically 4v4 since Jack isn't technically a player, so you know what I mean? So it'd be 4 players and then a player as Jack that you would have to escort to the other side of the map and maybe make it that so he can't just fly anywhere, something like that. You know, just like a Gears-ified version of Payload is just my idea there. And then the second mode idea that is here is actually one that I have been thinking about, but kind of came to light via a community mod, via a community member called Atherssa, and there'll be a link to Atherssa's channels in the description and to the video that is on screen right now. It's insane. Basically, it's like a Lambent former Infection game mode. You guys know Infection. You know, it could be called Lambency. I know King Abs made that point on the community stream. He called it Lambency. That's perfect name. It could be called Infection or Lambent Infection or Lambency, something like that, where you play as a former and there's you know, however many players on the other team, and then the former has to infect someone, and then when someone gets infected by the former, when one of the players does, they become another former, and then the more formers there are, the more intense it gets for the other players. This is classic Halo Infection. It's been in Modern Warfare and plenty of Call of Duty games. I think it would be perfect. It's just, that makes it not like, you know, it's not a mode where you're playing with Lancer Nasher when you're playing as the former, right? You're playing as a zombie type creature that melees and that kind of thing. So it's not, you're still playing Gears of War, but it's not the same gameplay that you're playing and experiencing in all other modes, if that makes any sense. And then another thing I have written down here is monster modes, and what I mean by that is like something like beast mode. Like I was so sad that beast mode did not return and has been pretty much confirmed to not return, and I hope at some point maybe Microsoft give the coalition enough resources to, you know, continue Gears 5 and give them the budget to do stuff like that. Like fingers crossed, please. I hope. And if not this game, the next Gears game, it has to be in there because you know, back to talking about Jackbot again, he has his hijack ability, and when you use that, you get to take over some of the monsters in horde mode, like the Pouncer or the Reject or, any of the Swarm, just anything like that. Could you imagine playing as the bosses against some AI? And if that's the, beast mode was the reverse horde mode, but if it's too complex to make a reverse horde, like program a whole game type and make a UI kind of thing. Another idea was a PvP beast mode where maybe a couple of the Swarm and Locust monsters against a full squad of players, and they have to take them out. It's just instead of the same COG versus Locust PvP 5v5 4v4 action, you have something different where you're playing as a monster with abilities and different mobility and that kind of thing against a bunch of players. I think that makes a lot of sense. You could have it be you could have it be 5v5 of certain monsters versus a squad. You could have it be 1 versus 5 if it was like a kind of like a hunt down the swarm mode, or if it was like a matriarch versus 5 or something, like just something weird like that, like something Gearsy, like use the monsters that are available. That's just what I really want. The hijack ability really got me thinking about that ever since launch. It's been brought up so many times by a bunch of different people in the community, and I'm so on board with that. It's one of the first things that came to mind when I saw the hijack ability. I was hoping that it was teasing a beast mode, but unfortunately it wasn't. So fingers crossed, hopefully it can still happen, but if not, the next Gears game, hint hint, nudge nudge. And then I also have bomb mode written down here. So one thing I found funny about Gridiron is that I love Gridiron, but one of the funny thing is that if it was just reskinned as a bomb mode, like if the end zones were just like bomb sites and the flag was a bomb, it would be the bomb mode that people have been asking for. You know what I mean? Like if it was the light mass bomb or something like that, and then you stand on the thing and you plant it, and then I don't know if in Gears of War, if planting a bomb and then having the timer after waiting would be balanced. It probably wouldn't, but I look at a game like Rogue Company and that pulls it off pretty well, but I'm just wondering if Gears would be able to do it. But maybe if it was just, like I said, like a Gridiron reskin to fit the Gears universe, that would be cool. But either way, I'm happy with Gridiron, but if it was the bomb skin, that would be cool too. That's just something I've had on my mind for a while. And then another thing here is, a large player mode. This is not a Gears 5 thing. This is just something I'd love to see happen at some point for the franchise. Just think Battlefield in your head. King Ravens and Armadillo APCs and loads of different COG type vehicles and 32 versus 32, or just large scale huge maps, verticality, buildings, that kind of thing. Like really present the war from the Gears 2 campaign and give us that as a multiplayer mode, if that paints a picture at all in any of your heads. I just think that sounds amazing. I know it's not the kind of tight close quarters PvP that Gears is traditionally known for, but I think offering up a massive variety of modes while also having the close quarters stuff is just a massive win. It because people often say, like, how do you evolve Gears of War? Well, I think the gameplay is perfect. Like it's hard to refine the same gameplay over and over again. But you can offer up different experiences with that gameplay, if that makes any sense. But that's my list of modes, and just kind of going over what could potentially work out for the franchise in terms of variety of modes. I think what's holding back Gears 5 at the moment is just that there's kind of too many distractions in terms of where players can go for PvP. The PvE modes are pretty solid. You know, like I said, escape is kind of like a horde mode variation, but you know, people will PvE all they want. I think the main kind of discussion point here is the versus options, like the fact there's 2 King of the Hills and 2 team death matches. I think everything should just be in ranked. I know some people make the point, you know, I just want to chill and play ranked, but at the end of the day, the way the rank system is in this game, it's not elo based, so you're not coming up against sweaties 100% of the time. I know when I play Masters games, it's pretty chill. Like sometimes you will come up against a 4-stack, but that happens in social as well. Do you know what I mean? So there's no major difference. I think it would be better to filter everyone into the same places, and it would just be nice if there was some, you know, more variety in game modes. I hope that Microsoft give the Coalition the resources to do more of what they want with PvP and PvE. Like I said, you know, Beast Mode, I'll bring it up over and over again. I'll repeat myself. I just want to get that point across. We just need different experiences, but keep that Gears gameplay that we love. There's no reason to not give that variety. But yeah, before I go repeating myself over and over again, that has been it for like my ideas and my thoughts on where Gears 5 is at in terms of its variety in game modes. If you guys have any other ideas for potential game modes that could work in Gears 5 or any Gears of War game, you know, maybe it's something from another game that you think would fit, or maybe it's a completely original thing, maybe it's a mod you saw, you know, leave all of those ideas down in the comments and we can all brainstorm together and maybe, you know, kick up a storm about this, and maybe, you know, Microsoft will see, yo, there's a demand for something new in the Gears franchise rather than just the TDM King of the Hill kind of combo, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that has been it for the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more Gears of War content from me. I'll be doing more videos like this in the future, so hopefully you guys will enjoy those. If you guys want to go ahead and hit the join button down below this video or on my channel to help support and become a YouTube member, that would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me on Twitter at TheRazoredEdge. And that has been it. I will see you guys next time.